Now we're going to give you a really big update, 2030 update. We're going to look ahead, and that's because UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says that now is the right time for the UK, the Republic of Ireland, as well as Scotland and Wales to have a joint bid for the 2030 World Cup. Would you like to see this happen, Gareth?
Sure, why not? Football's coming home, it's coming. I just want to hear that song on repeat. Do you think the rest of the world, like, just, maybe, gets a little, sick in their own mouth a little bit hearing, England, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, refer to it as football coming home? Like, we get the history of the game, but whether you're in Brazil or elsewhere, you're like, come on, give me a break. I think there's a fair shout that it could go back to Europe. I think that there will be that tug of the heartstrings to go back to Uruguay, maybe a joint bid with Argentina, because Uruguay hosted the first ever World Cup in 1930. Argentina was in the final against Uruguay, so there might be something there as well. But why not? It seems like the economics of the game drive decisions like this more than anything else. And the most eyeballs and the biggest country in terms of who can put on that show would be the UK in a joint bid. And with 48 teams ridiculously now qualifying for the World Cup, it's watered down anyways. You might as well give all the home nations a bid, right? Like, you might as well give them a spot, because that's the way that things are going to be going forward when you have 48 freaking teams in the World Cup. It's ridiculous, so why not play into that?
Yeah. Okay, I feel like that's a topic for another day. But yes, Boris Johnson has already pledged £2.8 million towards this possible joint bid moving forward. But let's stick to something a little bit more current, Ollie, and that would be Euros 2020 that will now be in 2021. We know that it's going to be hosted across 12 different countries, and we know the semis and finals are going to be at Wembley anyways. But now we're hearing that the UK could possibly host more games for Euros. What do you think this means in the middle of COVID, even though vaccine rollouts are happening? Do you think this is a good idea?
It probably is a good idea, right? Not to be traveling all around Europe and doing this competition that's spread throughout the entire continent, right at the end of a pandemic here. So I could see them going to something like this. I'm sure UEFA doesn't want to, because they were very excited about this format. But you look at England potentially, you look at Russia, who did such a great job with the World Cup. Would one of those spots make more sense and just allow them to have a more safe, contained tournament? We'll have to wait and see. I do think, as Gareth said, maybe history repeating itself, not in the best way, and Boris Johnson banging the football's coming home drum. This was a country that bid for the 2018 World Cup. I was living in the UK still at the time, and I can tell you, everyone thought that the 2018 World Cup was in the bag. It was a total given that we were going to get that World Cup. Everyone else hated that arrogance and that sense of entitlement, and we ended up getting 2 votes, one of whom was us voting for ourselves. So I would just maybe be a little bit careful with how you kind of parade the whole home of football narrative that Boris Johnson already seems to be getting started here.
Can I just add, Andy, for footballing reasons, for actually what's going on the field, it makes a whole lot of sense to host this tournament in one country, because the schedule and the makeup of this tournament is an absolute farce as it currently is. So in Group B, Denmark's going to have 3 home games. Russia will have 2. Belgium and Finland will be playing away from home in either Denmark or Russia for all their games. How is that fair? Same thing plays out in Group D with England and Scotland. 3 home games for England, 2 for Scotland, none for Croatia or Czech Republic. And in the Group of Death, Group F, 3 home games for Germany, 2 for Hungary, and nothing for France and Portugal? Like, it's not fair for those other countries who are playing away games, and then there's other teams that are playing all these games at home. It makes absolutely no sense. So forget about the pandemic, forget about safety. It'd be great to have games with actual people in the stands. I fully admit that. But let's think about the integrity of this competition, because the current setup is just completely out of whack and sets up teams like Belgium, who should be favorites in this tournament. It sets them up for failure, having to go and play Russia and Denmark in their respective countries. I don't like it. Didn't like it from the get-go. Still don't like it now. So football's coming home. Bring it home. England 2021.